up on the offer to see a movie? My parents own the theater. Wouldn't cost a dime. He didn't flinch, just slipped the plastic back into its slot. I still have a girlfriend. She sighed dramatically. You're still seeing her? She's, 12? Damon shook his head, irritation running through him. No, she isn't, and yes, I'm still seeing her. Have a good day. She's young, right? A middle schooler? There's only a year difference between us, if you must know. He hurried away before she could try to engage him in further conversation. Ariana was the only person he had eyes for, and he definitely wasn't going to let anyone shame him for dating her. So what if they were 2 grades apart and went to 2 different schools? Their ages were barely over a year apart, not that it was anyone else's business. He read over his texting conversation with Ari as he waited for his drink. Reading her texts warmed his heart and melted away his irritation. He couldn't wait until the study group they co-led at her school. A different barista called his name. Damon thanked him and quickly took a sip of the bitter drink. Did it always have such a bite, or did Tori do something to it? She hadn't. Even if she'd had the time, she wouldn't have done something so depraved. His imagination was running on overdrive. Just because his dad was a part of a criminal empire that had no problem eliminating their enemies didn't mean others had evil plots to take him or anyone else out. No, the barista was just being flirty. Maybe she was annoyed with him for always turning her down, but she wouldn't do anything to his drink. He checked the time and debated whether he should finish his coffee inside or take it with him. Last time he'd spilled a mocha all over the passenger seat when someone in a pickup cut him off. It had taken hours to get it out completely. He didn't want to risk that again, not when it would have to sit all day while he was in school. Damon quickly drank the rest of his bitter coffee, which definitely gave him a jolt. Then he threw the cup into the garbage on his way outside. His foot caught on the mat in front of the door, and he stumbled forward. Maybe guzzling the shop's strongest coffee to cure his sleep deprivation hadn't been the best idea. His thoughts were still sluggish, but his limbs were buzzing. Or was that his mind? He reached into his pocket for the keys, but couldn't quite get his fingers to cooperate. Tried again, kept fumbling. Whatever he had just downed was entirely too much caffeine for his system. Next time, he'd order his usual with a double shot of espresso. In addition to his swimming head and jittery limbs, he grew nauseated, the beverage churning acid in his gut. He rounded the corner of the building and his stomach lurched again and again, each time stronger. The third time, there was no keeping it down. He leaned against the wall and vomited behind a bush. He heaved until he'd thrown up every sip of the bitter brew and tears ran down his face. Damon wiped his mouth and eyes as he leaned against the wall to catch his breath. What just happened? Had the barista actually put something in his drink? If she thought that would get him to change his mind, she couldn't have been more wrong. The only thing he would give her after this would be a complaint to management, or even a post online. But he didn't want the shop to come under fire. The couple who owned it was really nice. He just needed to get to school. At least his first period teacher was lenient. Damon's stomach thrust again, and he turned back to the wall, unable to expunge anything else. It was tempting to go back to the foster home, but his head would likely explode if he had to listen to the screaming right then. Plus, he had a science test after lunch. He needed to attend that class. The teacher didn't allow makeups. He pushed away from the wall and tried to focus on the pavement. It was blurry. He blinked a few times. Didn't do any good. Nothing would come into focus. His stomach knotted and twisted, growing more painful by the moment. Everything spun around him. His knees wobbled. Stomach lurched again. Head pounded.